And there was a show on, some PBS thing, and one gentleman was speaking to Tony Blair, and he was talking about the Mideast conflict, Israel, Gaza Strip, the Palestinians, etc. And he was detailing something about his plan and how, what we need to do to get things, peaceful, to generate peace on Earth. And what I wanted to say was, okay, if you've heard everything in this series about self-control, my remote control, self-remote control series here, the self in all beings, try to absorb this fact. What we don't need to do, we don't need to know anything about anyone. We don't need to know anything about any situation. We don't need to understand through the mental sheath or analyze in our intellect anything about peace. I'm not saying that we should remain ignorant, and I'm not saying we shouldn't discriminate in our actions, but what I am saying is that in order to foster peace on Earth, there is a small group, a very small percentage of people on Earth right now who have the capacity that I'm told about, that have that what I have demonstrated to myself, what happened to me yesterday, which I was never intending. I never in my wildest imagination ever thought that you can remotely control people. I never wanted to do that. That was never my idea, consciously. But the ego in me, that the energy of I am a separate person, I'm a separate individual who was always trying to get what it wanted, always wanted people to do what, quote unquote, I wanted. In other words, what's good for this person, this separate individual. Okay? And that was what Sri Atmananda was trying to show me in all these years, which was always backfiring because I was never getting it, because my ego, that idea that I'm a separate individual, is so strong in this form that it was next to impossible for him to convey to me that all that wasn't necessary. You can control the forms around you, but only when you identify yourself with the self in all. In other words, you get rid of the ego. You get rid of the ego identification, and then you become everything that's around you, and then everything around you moves in harmony. So there is a very small percentage of people on this planet, but they are strategically placed by the mother, by Prakriti, and this is why it's also wonderful that she's provided this tool of the internet for us to communicate with each other. And what I'm proposing to you is to try this at home, kids, okay? Find the place within you where you can identify yourself as the self in all. In other words, there is only one soul in all of these forms. And then see what comes to you. Look at my video again, where I describe what happened to me and how the ego was coming up during that process. And watch your system. You don't have to know anything about yoga. You don't have to know how to meditate. You don't have to know anything to do this technique. The technique is feel that you are the self in all. And when I say that, I mean you are the self. You are the soul in the dog. You are the soul in this person, that person. You are the soul in your quote-unquote enemy. You are the soul in your friend. If you can distance from you the idea that you are a separate being, and then go into your heart and concentrate somewhere, anywhere in the upper chakras, and follow this feeling that I am the soul in all, you can increase peace around you. And this is what we need to do. I think that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't. There might be a good example that I could give you that would illustrate it better, but right now I'm just going to leave it right there and then wait and see what comes in the next few days. But I turned on the TV and I thought, why am I watching TV now? I always ask this question, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Which is a good thing to do, to ask yourself, is this impulse to do this action coming from the lower nature or is it coming from the higher nature? Okay? So I was asking myself, why am I watching TV? And I saw that, and I saw this man, and people are struggling today because everybody wants peace, but they don't know how to get it, and they're thinking they're getting it, and what they're doing is they're actually increasing or decreasing the possibility for peace, even though they're working for something that they think is peace, but it's not the real peace. The peace, the vision that they have for peace is coming from the ego. Okay, it's coming from ego, and when I say that, I mean it's coming from the part of the system that is identified as separate and thinking that I'm separate from others. And what peace will come, and it will come easily. It comes instantly. In the Bhagavad Gita it says peace comes instantly through renunciation. Renunciation of what? Renunciation of the idea that I am a separate being. When we renounce the ego and the mental being, which is actually just a tool of the ego in most cases, then we are, the mental, when I say the mental, all of the past, the mind is actually just a storehouse for all of the memory. And the memory is everything that's happened to us in the past. So when we say, I am not that, that's what it is when you say renunciation. You're getting delinked from that. You're saying, all of the thing that's happened in the past, I am not that. That is not I. I am the self. I am the soul in all beings, in all the universe. I am the soul. When we get linked with that and get delinked from the mental and from the idea that I am a separate being, then everything around us moves towards peace. And if you think about it, a lot of different lights in the earth, like, look at a map or pictures taken from space, and you'll see all the different, here's Philadelphia, this the whole eastern seaboard is all lit up, and then you can see where, Minneapolis is, if here are the Great Lakes, and, if you know a little bit about geography, you can tell, which cities are what cities when looking at the big lights, and knowing, what kind of, here's Los Angeles down here, and, all the West Coast lit up, because you can see, where the big population centers are. Think about if all of these people, these different forms who have this kind of consciousness, who have this capacity to realize this consciousness, are sitting everywhere around the world and at little different points. And when that light becomes bright, meaning that they are focusing on this heart energy and on this consciousness and on bringing the cosmic consciousness down through the upper chakras into the heart, and then cleansing the lower chakras through that energy, that light is increasing, and that light is going out, so that we will fill the whole Earth consciousness with this light, and that is how peace will come to this planet. Not through people's mental ideas of how they will tackle situations through legislation and through, summit talks and treaties, etc. These things are all on the mental and on the intellectual and ego plane. And that's not going to bring peace to the planet. Peace will come, and it will come very quickly and very easily. The future, my dear self, is so bright and so beautiful, you can't imagine. But when you get into this consciousness, then you begin to see it. Something is so profound.